Hey, welcome. I'm Jay, and it's a beautiful Thursday for some subscriber feedback. We've got Jason here looking for some tips and tricks and just general feedback on this wonderful ACX audiobook audition. So if you're towards the beginning of your career and you're looking for some boosting, this will help you out, we hope. And if you'd like me to review audio of yours, there's a form in the description. Send me something. If, like Jason here, you want to bump towards the top of the queue, then you can check out the Booth Buddies, supports these efforts and gives you priority access to stuff like this. And otherwise, just thanks for being here. There's coaching on my website if that's more your speed. I sometimes forget to mention that, but some folks find it helpful. Anyway, let's go.
The turbulence in his mind settled, leaving Miles in a numb stupor. The king lifted his tiny body up like it was nothing, and as he was thrown onto his horse, Miles fought off the memories of the day. His head hung low, and he watched his blood drip down his fingertips into the dry dirt below, with each drop that the ground so eagerly drank up.
Okay. Pausing real quick, Jason, because you'd mentioned that you were self-conscious about your voice. Get that out of your head, my friend. You got a great voice, no sweat there. And to anybody else who finds a self-consciousness creeping into mind about the quality of your voice or anything like that, there's nothing you can do about it more often than not. So it's not worth wasting energy on, in my opinion. That's the short answer. The long answer is there's space for everybody, no matter what the voice is. There are people who have really odd, interesting voices, and they find their niche and they ride that into glory. And then, Jason, you just got a great voice. So don't feel anything there. That said, I would love if you are feeling kind of timid about things. Right now, we're resting in a pretty heavily quiet space. And part of that for a lot of folks when they're starting out is just getting used to headphones on, because your voice is being piped directly into your ears. And it's that for myself, for a lot of folks, maybe this is something that you're experiencing, Jason, but that can lead to self-consciousness. You're hearing your voice in a new way for the first time, and it's odd. And there are a couple of things that can help with that technically right out of the gate. One is to fiddle with the volume in your headphones. If you're wearing both of your headphones while you're recording, which I do more often than not, you can fiddle with the volume, because if the volume of your headphones is high, what happens is we think that our voice is being really loud and we tend to get quiet. And if the volume on your headphones is quite low, we naturally project more to try and be heard better, because we hear our voice being quiet. So we feel like I should be louder in order to be heard. So that's one thing that you can fiddle with. So in your case, because we're in this kind of really quiet space, it's possible that your headphones could just be turned up or turned down a bit more so that you feel like you need to project. So it's kind of an inverse relationship. The louder your headphones are, the quieter you get. And the quieter your headphones are, the louder we become to compensate. So that's one thing. Another thing a lot of folks find useful is to go one ear in, one ear out. That way you get a mix of hearing what the microphone's hearing over here, but also with the ear that isn't under the headphones, you get the natural timbre of your voice in the space. So those two things might be helpful in terms of allowing your projection to be a little bit more full. Because right now, while I think it's good to have this in your wheelhouse, this really pensive and quiet space, it's not somewhere that you want to be through the whole thing necessarily. And the reason for that is it can hurt your diction, which at times the words get a little bit muddy here just by virtue of keeping it in a really quiet space. Whereas if we allow our voice into the space a bit more, articulation and diction, by virtue of just being louder and using our voice more, tends to pick up a bit. I'm losing the thread. Oh, and for listeners, if everything is in this space, what can happen is sort of a ear fatigue after a time. All to say, it can be hard to listen to that as an audiobook audience for several hours. Not because of your voice, not because of your performance, simply because we would love to have peaks and valleys and variety within it. And if it's all in this space, and you edge out of it here and there, but for this to be the baseline, we would prefer it to be a little bit more out in space. Let's keep going.
His childlike innocence faded. Miles couldn't resist it any longer. The memories flooded his mind. It was like he was living them all over again. Giving in to the intrusive thoughts, he decided to start with the sunrise.
I love the ending of that phrase. He decided to start with the sunrise. Because we've got this painful thing. Something happened. I mean, he's got blood on his fingers, so we know something's happened. And the decision to start with the sunrise, it holds a lot of, it's just a beautiful image, and I think you deliver it well. I also think that you have really great pacing in general. Yeah, you've got a good intuition for the pacing. And similar to my note before, I would love to hear just more of discovery and an opinion about things. So if we listen to just a little bit of this section one more time.
Miles couldn't resist it any longer.
Miles couldn't resist it any longer. So within that, there are a few things that we can fiddle around with in terms of our performance. Miles couldn't resist it any longer. If we dip into Miles's point of view, we can borrow some of his emotional state or how he feels about this resistance. He couldn't resist it any longer. So at this point, he's been resisting something. And at this moment, he either decides or surrenders to whatever that feeling is. He's been resisting something, and he either says, you know what, I'm going to do it. And he steps through the door, or he just can't hold it back and it overtakes him. There may be other options, but those are the two main ones that come to mind. And right now it's delivered kind of neutrally. Miles couldn't resist it any longer, which is fine, but I think it would be more interesting potentially if you give us a clue as to, is he embracing something? He couldn't resist it any longer. And there's this new thing, or he couldn't resist it any longer. And you're falling backwards. Very subtle difference that I just did, and not a line read. I don't know if either of those are right, but as an attempt to illustrate what I'm talking about.
The memories flooded his mind.
Yeah, so he couldn't resist it any longer. The memories flooded his mind. Whatever that is.
It was like he was living them all over again. Giving in to the intrusive thoughts, he decided to start with the sunrise.
And similar with the sunrise, I don't know. Because this is an audition, there are a few things that are challenging. One, in audiobook auditions, I don't know if this is the whole of what they gave you in terms of text to read. And if that's the case, this first section, let's just listen to it again. But there are things within this first section that are given circumstances, and there's a lot of stuff that's an interesting image, but it's kind of unknown. So let's listen again and break some of that down.
The turbulence in his mind settled, leaving Miles in a numb stupor. The king lifted his tiny body up like it was nothing, and as he was thrown onto his horse, Miles fought off the memories of the day. His head hung low, and he watched his blood drip down his fingertips into the dry dirt below. With each drop that the ground so eagerly drank up, his childlike innocence faded. Miles couldn't resist it any longer. The memories flooded his mind. It was like he was living them all over again. Giving in to the intrusive thoughts, he decided to start with the sunrise.
Okay, so a really beautiful passage, really interesting, and you do it well. Things that we could add here in terms of the given circumstances and the stuff I was talking about. Okay, I got wrapped up in the performance and sidelined. Okay, give me a break. The things here, he's having a moment. He's had a really intense day. We know that. That's a given circumstance. It's an intense day. It's led to violence of some sort. He's bleeding. And we also know that as he watches the blood go off of his hand, hit the dirt, and be absorbed into the earth, he watches his innocence, childhood fade away. He's understanding in this moment, this is it. I have crossed the Rubicon. There's no going back. And I am a new person after today. And he's pushing against all of these memories that took place today, generally. And it starts with the sunrise. So we kind of watch him see this, understanding what's happening, and then the sunrise happens. Incidentally to all of that, a king is the person lifting him onto the horse, which is an interesting factoid that we can make decisions about. So just to review, we've got a bunch of given circumstances. One, this was a bad day for old Miles here. It resulted in some violence. He's bleeding. He is a child of some sort, and that history is evaporating before his eyes. He's holding back the events of the day, but they overtake him at a certain point, and then there's a king there. So those are the given circumstances. And then things that we can build into it or take further are decisions that we can make off of those given circumstances. So we don't know what happened today, but we do know it was violent in some way. So by virtue of that, we can backfill the images there. We don't know what happened to his hand, for instance. What is the specific injury that he has? Is it mortal? Is it fatal? Or is it just a scratch? How many people did he see in his world that are no longer around after today? The answer could be 0. The answer could be his whole village. It could just be 2 or 3 people. We don't know. But the point is, we can make a decision about that, particularly with audiobook auditions like this. Those types of things are really, really valuable in separating it from somebody who just reads the stuff on the page and somebody who's filled in things with their imagination. And that's really, really valuable. So to take this passage, a couple things that come to mind. The king. How do we feel about the king? He's saving us right now, but I don't know. Are we being captured? I don't know. We can make those decisions. And then the sunrise, you deliver it in, he decided to start with the sunrise. And it has this sense of rolling back and sort of a measure of coming to peace almost with the sunrise. And that's great. And if that's what we want to do, that's awesome. But we can infuse that sunrise with whatever we want. Anyway, I feel as though I'm rambling, but awesome job overall, Jason. Just to review, kick that self-consciousness to the curb because you got a great voice. I would just love to hear you take ownership of things a bit more, charge ahead, full bore. But we want to hear your version of this story or any story that you're reading. So take that, charge ahead with reckless abandon. And then I said some other stuff that I've already forgotten. But great work, my friend. Oh, and you were curious about your audio quality. It sounds great. No sweat there. You're off to the races. For everybody else, I hope this was helpful too. If you've got questions and stuff, let me know. And until the next one of these, be well, everybody, and I'll see you there. Toodles!